All right, so I was looking into this symbol that you see on the bottom of your screen, soon to be in the center of your screen right here. That right there is called an Ankh, right? All right, so this is for you bug outs that actually wear this and don't even know what it means, right? All right, so I'm gonna read just these last two paragraphs. It says other theories suggest that it represents air and water as important elements for generating life. It is also considered to be the key to the mysteries of nature. On the top, it has a kind of circle or oval which has no beginning, no end, and symbolizes the heavenly world, the god Ra, the sun. So in the book of Ezekiel, it talked about the abominations that our people was doing. You know, the people was and the priests alike at a certain point. You know, among the Israelites, you know, they took the Egyptian gods and they was worshiping these idols, and the Most High was hot at our people, right, for doing so. You know, and you know, in the scriptures, there's mention of the book of life, and that the Israelites, our people, want to be found in it. So if there's a book of life, then there has to be a book of death, right? The opposite side, the wicked side, right? All right, so when you see this Ankh right here, let me read this second paragraph, y'all. But above all, the Egyptian cross or Ankh symbolized the respect for the dead of the Egyptian civilization. And we know that the Egyptian civilization, the ancient Egyptian civilization, was destroyed by the Father. You know, the especially the heads like the Pharaoh at the time, when Moses and Aaron and Miriam walked the earth and was given instruction by the Most High Power Yahweh, you know, to work these signs and wonders, because Pharaoh wouldn't let the Hebrews go, you know, to worship their power Yahweh in the wilderness for 3 days. His heart was hard, right? And so all these plagues and curses came upon the Egyptian the so-called civilization, and they was destroyed for that. And they, you know, they pretty much was trying to chase the Israelites through the Red Sea that the Most High had parted, and you know the chariots was pretty much destroyed by the sea closing in on them, right? But our people, you know, carried some of the customs and traditions of the Egyptians, and ultimately were destroyed over time for worshiping their idols and their gods, their fake gods, you know. So it says respect that has reached our days. You see that? Respect that has reached our days throughout different civilizations, right? So it says through the Book of the Dead, one of the main works that have come to us from ancient Egypt. So they have the Book of the Dead, right? That opposite of righteousness, and they have the idolatrous symbol, right? So you know that's a lot of I be seeing, especially a lot of females, and then a lot of it be like some effeminate males. They be rocking this Ankh, you know, and they're like, oh look, it's just like the cross, and Christianity stole it. You know, hey man, Israelites don't even supposed to be wearing crosses. A lot of those are neo Christians. I say neo Christians because the original Christians were actually the actual apostles of Yahweh Shai, and they, you know, and Christian was a derogatory name that they was given by the Romans, right? Rome, think of Rome, ancient Babylon. Didn't they rule Egypt? Wasn't the last pharaoh Alexander the Great? Alexander the Great, right? So yeah, the Book of the dead language, the Latin, you know, they come from the Greek, right? They still speak in Italy, you know, the pagan Church of Rome, who mixed all these ideologies together and formed a religion, and the worship of woman, the worship of Mary, you know, and they are matriarchal worship, you know, idol worshippers, right? As opposed to the patriarch. The patriarchal established what they call monotheistic belief, which is righteous, but they say it's not. But you see this right here, the Book of the Dead, and you know the dead language that came out of the Egyptian civilization, aka Babylon the Great, Rome, right? The rulership now, Rome, idol worship. They got a big ass brass statue out there on Ellis Island right now. You know, they got the flag. They told the children to pledge allegiance to as a symbol of a republic. Now you have a public and then you have a republic. You know, so they had to do it again. So it's the United States is the reestablishment of ancient Rome. You know, the beast that suffered a grievous wound and healed. You know, but she can't really even heal herself. She's divided against herself. You know, she puts on the news and in these history books about a bipartisan. Double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And a house divided against itself shall not stand. Look at these Republicans and look at these Democrats. Look how they act. Look how they move. And tell me you don't see remnants of ancient Egypt. Tell me this place is not on a course for destruction. Because if you think not, you lying to yourself. You know, a lot of lost little girls is wearing these ankhs and tattooing them on their bodies. They branding themselves as slaves. Looking stupid as hell. So yeah, this right here is a quick one on idols and idol worship, man, and how the Most High, he hates that, you know, that his people, his very children, the apple of his eye, you know, are still sottish and foolish, man. You know, hey, there's heathen that use these symbols, right? You know, to trick people. You know, they use these idols and they use these symbols to trip people up and create a false narrative, man, to people believe in and be deceived by. Because if it's like this, why deceive people? Why lie to people? Well, you keep an advantage over them. You're right. You can keep them in the dark about what you're really doing, the hidden hand. You know, that's what masonry is. Freemason, Prince Hall, all that is bullshit. And they know it. 33 degrees is sideways. So if you stand upright, you standing straight up and down. That's like what that's called 90 degrees, right? 33 degrees is crouching, crawling like a serpent. And that's the highest you can get to in masonry. So you still a creeping thing, a fucking snake, period, man. You know, hey, man. So for this truth, man, we risk our life and freedom to do so, to speak this truth. Call halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, man, over all this fake shit they got out here, all of it. You haven't been truly enlightened until you've been enlightened by the truth of the word. When you look into the biblical chronicles, the words, the precepts, the witnesses, the many various witnesses, and even coupled with the archaeology that supports the truth, only then can you call yourself truly enlightened. You're not Illuminati. You ain't no light bearer. You still in gross darkness because you following after idols, symbols, created things, as opposed to serving and worshiping the one true Creator, the Most High God of Israel, of Yasha Allah. All right. Hey, I just seen something the other day, man. This dude who's creating this crypto, this dude, this mofo, he tattooed his company's logo on his arm. He branding himself, and he expects those who follow him to do the same. And ultimately, most of them will. They sound like giddy teenage girls who haven't a clue about anything, you know, in regard to truth, in regard to righteousness. He knows that a lot of people are in the dark. He himself is in gross darkness. So how can the blind lead the blind, lest they both fall into a ditch? All right. So with that being said, man, I'm going to close it right there. Shalom to the hopefully elect, the 1/3 so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who believe on the truth and power of our majesty, our King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Yahweh Shai, and his father, Yahweh, whom this world ignorantly called God. You know, they ignorantly call Yahweh Shai Jesus, man. The J didn't even exist, you know, in the time that Yahweh Shai walked this earth, man. That's how lost people are. That's how in the dark and gross darkness that people are. And they wondering, you know, how these things be, you know? And the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the Holy Spirit. And those names are the Paleo-Hebrew names, the true names. All right? You've been lied to when you go to these churches with these idolatrous symbols, man. Gods of wood and stone. You know, so we've been warned about these things. And we are in them times, you know, where things are about to get a lot worse. You know, and the Father says, the Father Yahweh, he says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Right? And we, you know, look at Stockholm syndrome. When you when you begin to develop a kinship or a reverence or fondness of your oppressor, it's sickening. You know? So yeah, it is a stiff-necked Scottish people, because you can't tell some of our people nothing. I'm gonna end it right there, man. But I'm gonna say this: a Bible ball. All right. I'm gonna say Kwam Yashar Allah. All right, and truth and sincerity. Shalom to you.